Hello everyone, this is Gary Bennett at ExcelMe. Welcome to our Class 1 on getting started with Swift. We'll also be talking about Chapter 1 in our book today and how to get started with Swift 3.0, the latest version of Xcode and iOS. For those attending live on our webinar that we have for those that want to attend live, if you could raise your hand in the GoToWebinar control panel, make sure everybody who's attending is listening. Excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So tonight we're going to be discussing Swift. We're going to be going over Xcode, how to get Swift going on Xcode, as well as using IBM Swift sandboxes. So let's get started with how to get started on Xcode and Swift. So the first thing you want to do is go to, if you haven't downloaded Swift already, just go to your Mac app and go and do a search on Xcode and you'll see it. Go ahead and download it. It may take an hour or so to download all of Xcode. But the other way to get started, at least for these classes right now, is you can use you can use Swift sandboxes, IBM Swift sandboxes, and just do it in a browser. You don't need to have a Mac. You could do it on this Linux, you could do it on a PC, you could also do it on, of course, a Mac. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of look real quick. If you go to swift.sandbox.bluemix.net, you can see it here to get started. You can, of course, Google it as well. And if you click on what's new, they just changed. Here is the URL to get to it if you want to make a link to it here, swift.sandbox.bluemix.net. And IBM is really making a great strides into the open source Swift movement on Linux. And I have another course coming out of that later. But this is doing this in a browser on Safari or Chrome or whatever browser of your choice. You can go ahead and get started. So let's get started first on just doing just a little bit of an application in Xcode, and then we'll go over to IBM Swift Sandbox and do the same thing. So I'm going to get Xcode up. I'm going to say I want a new project, or sorry, not a new Xcode project. I'm going to get Xcode here, and I'm going to say create or get started with a Swift with a playground. That's of course going to be in Swift. I'm going to leave iOS on by default. It's not going to matter for what we're going to do tonight, and I'm just going to create it wherever I want to put it. And so here I've started my playground out, and the nice thing about it is it's going to take a few seconds here to kind of get it up and running here, but we're going to see the code, and we're also going to be able to review and see the results as we code. And as you see here, we're saying here the value of a string, str string, is playground, but I can also go ahead and say str is equal to Gary Bennett, golly, can't type here, Gary Bennett at ExcelMe. Go here at the end, and you can see the results as you code, what the results of our code is on this side here. So every line of code we can get a result and see it, what's going on here with our real Swift code. And this is the same code we're going to be using, same syntax we're going to be using when we do iOS applications. Now the great thing is you can kind of see, so you can pick what you want to use. We can go here to our IBM Swift Sandbox, very similar to the purpose of playgrounds, where you can quickly test and learn how to code in Swift and test your code in Swift without necessarily having to use the entire Xcode IDE. And the same with our Swift Sandbox. We can do, we can actually just cut and paste this right here, just so you can see. We'll cut and paste that in. And if we hit the play button, you have to hit the play button here to execute what you have. We're going to see it here. We can go ahead and say print, and we can go ahead and say, I can just say Okay, so this is the great thing about it here on both sides is if we have an error in our code, we'll get an error in where it's at. So here on line 9, it's telling us the error. Over here in our playground, if we do the same thing, if I say print str, oops. Well, first of all, it's going to autocomplete. It's going to tell us what the syntax should look like. So I'm going to put this in parentheses and see if that helps and what our options are here. Okay, here it is. So now I'm able to print it out and see exactly what it's supposed to do. Let's do that again. You can see it autocomplete in Xcode here as I'm typing str. Right? You can kind of see it wants to autocomplete, but even better, as I type in print, it's going to give me an autocompletion of what it thinks I'm trying to do. And if I hit enter, it will fill it in, and I just have to put in my variable that I want to print. And there it is. So let's go over here and do the same thing, and we'll see how the autocompletion works in Swift Playgrounds as well. See, right there, it's trying to autocomplete for me. But if I go here and hit print, and as I'm typing, it will try to fill in my variables. Not quite as robust as the autocompletion in Xcode, but it's getting better. They are working on this a lot, and we're already on, this is the current version of Swift that they're using. Every year around September or so, the new version of Swift will be out. So in 2017, this will be version 4. And now if I run, everything should work out just fine. There it is. It puts it up here a little bit higher instead of putting it right over here, but we kind of see the result. So for today's class, we want to make sure you're started either in Playgrounds for Xcode or you're using IBM Swift Sandbox. And probably for the next 4 or 5 courses, you can use either one until we're ready to start doing an iOS application, an actual iPhone or iPad application. So every week at this time, which is 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, this is 11:30 local time. I'm in the Mountain Time Zone right now. We do these recordings live. They're recorded and posted every Friday as well. So you can attend live and you can also watch the recordings at your leisure. For those that are attending live, I'm going to stop the recording now and I will answer any questions. If you want to type in your questions in the GoToWebinar control panel, I will answer them on any Swift topic or iOS topic, not just on this, but on any project that you happen to be working on. All right, see you next Friday. Thanks for attending, everybody. Good day.